Hello, welcome to the Basketball Soapbox. We're heading down to the path to the NBA Finals, which is going to be on Thursday. It's a Sunday night here on the Soapbox. We have a very special guest, of course, wrong tab. A very special guest with us, Emmanuel Vincent of the Mr. Vincent podcast. You can find that on Spotify, anywhere you're listening to podcasts, music, whatever the case may be. He covers basketball, wrestling, just like me. Big fans of the sports. Thank you for joining me, man. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, you came on my podcast, a bunch of times. So I'm average in the favor, and I've been asking for a while, but I finally got the invite.
Yeah, I know. So this is not just him trying to get on for like just now, because it's the NBA Finals. He's been trying to get on for a little bit, but I've just been busy with my schedule and stuff like that, especially when it's around basketball, to have people on. But we finally got it done. We have a space in the scheduling that works out perfectly, man. So, of course, thank you for taking time to join me. But it's NBA Finals, man. It's the crescendo of basketball, the WrestleMania of basketball, basically, the NBA Finals. Two teams. One was a surprise. I'll ask your opinion about that in a second. But the Celtics, who have been tearing through the Eastern Conference and tear through the Eastern Conference playoffs. The Mavericks, who people saw as had an outside chance of getting to the finals, man. What do you think about this matchup? What do you think about these guys getting to the finals?
I'm really excited for this matchup. I see some people that I think Stephen A. was saying is like the most excited finals possibly in the last 10 years. I wouldn't go that far. I think that 2016 Warriors and Cavs was amazing.
Yes.
So I would say outside of that, yes, I would say probably the most exciting finals. You got two dynamic duos, good supporting cast to go along with those duos, all NBA performers, all-stars, superstars. It's going to be a great matchup.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's a good matchup too, especially where the Celtics have been kind of knocking on the door the past couple of years. To see the ascent of Luka Doncic, right? Like everybody was ready to say Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, still pulling on Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. The Joker, who's recent champion, of course, he's going to be in the conversation. But it's Luka Doncic beating OKC, beating the Clippers, and putting away the Timberwolves. What do you think about Luka Doncic so far throughout the playoffs, especially with this Dallas Mavericks team overall, actually, because they were kind of seen as an outside chance of getting to the finals. People were picking the Suns still. People were picking Minnesota. People were picking the Clippers. People were picking Denver, of course. But the outside chance was kind of Dallas as a sleeper pick. What do you think about their run to the NBA Finals and getting here?
In hindsight, it's not really surprising considering that the dynamic duo they have. I know Stan Van Gundy was getting a lot of flack in recent weeks saying that he's going to engage in a little hyperbole, saying that that's the best offensive backcourt in league history. I don't think he was at all. I mean, just an eye test. Forget the accolades. Forget what the accomplishment. I think he's talking about in a vacuum. Their skill sets, what Kyrie and Luka can do. They're excellent three-point shooters, excellent in the mid-range, great to very good passes, right? I can't recall a backcourt like this ever in league history, where you can just get the ball to each of them, either one of them, let them go and go to work. Stephen Clay, people saying the best offensive backcourt in league history. Clay, you can't really get the ball for him and say, hey, go to work. He's really like coming off screens, catching the pass and shooting. So, yes, they have championships. They have 4 championships compared to these guys who have none as of yet. So the time will tell. Yeah. But just in the vacuum, talent-wise, definitely the best backcourt I think I've seen, offensive backcourt. I'm not surprised considering how it played out and how they got to the finals. Because I thought that I had Denver going in the Western Conference to the finals, right? Once Denver lost to Minnesota, I was telling people Minnesota was constructed to defeat the Denver Nuggets, having 3 bigs you can throw at Jokic, who was the center of the offense. They're not necessarily constructed to beat the Dallas Mavericks, who play from the outside in as opposed to the inside out, and 2 dynamic guards who aren't really fazed by a lot of defenses. I mean, the Wolves are one of the best defensive team in the league this year. They really didn't have the flexibility to guard Luka like OKC did with Lou Dort. So I picked the Mavs at 6 to win that series. So I'm not really shocked at how it played out. I'm a little shocked at how they gave up in the end. Essentially, the Wolves. It felt like they were just happy that they didn't get swept. And instead,
I picked the Wolves. That we were on your podcast. I picked the Wolves because I thought their defense would try to put up some gatekeeping against Luka and Kyrie, and that did not happen at all. That did not happen at all. So to go back to Stan Van Gundy's point about them being the most dynamic backcourt, the best backcourt in league history, offensive backcourt in league history, you think about Stephen Clay, who you mentioned. To me, those guys are shooters. Those are the best. That's the best shooting backcourt. They have that set in stone. I don't know if no one's ever going to compare to them. Recent memory, you think about Chris Paul, James Harden, very dynamic, but not to this level. You think about CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard in Portland, those Portland days. They were good scorers, not to this level. The only other people that you could think of is really Zeke and Joe Dumars, but not to this level offensively. Though both those guys can get 20, both those guys can get hot, but they were not this dynamic in terms of just basically manipulating the game, being able to finish at the hoop. So those are the only two guys. That's the only other backcourt that I have in the conversation with these guys. Of course, all those other guys won championships: Stephen Clay, Zeke, and Joe. But Luka and Kyrie both have that opportunity here on Thursday to start that run. But yeah, man, the Dallas Mavericks, I was surprised because we talked about it on your podcast. I thought Minnesota's bigs played better. I thought that we saw it turning with Cat a little bit, even though he still had to prove himself. But to turn around and have the series that he had against Dallas, that Dallas played good defense. And that's something that Dallas has been doing over the course of this playoffs. Their defense has been picking up, especially even some surprise performances by Luka Doncic, of course. We want to give him some credit. Of course, it's in the team concept, but you couldn't have gotten that out of him a couple years ago. So for him to buy in, for Kyrie Irving to buy him with all the baggage that he has and all the controversy that he has had over the past couple years with the vaccine, the whole axing out for trades for multiple teams, kind of on that path of James Harden, of course, of trying to get out of situations, but he's found a home in Dallas. They believed in him, and I think that's the most important thing, which we're probably going to talk about at some point, that they believed in him and took a chance on him, and he's returned the favor 10 times fold.